showered or like?
No, dude, silly. I was like in my storm shorts. I'm like, geez, I hope she doesn't come with this stuff.
Oh no! Oh my God.
This is for you too. So you seem like a bit of a Snapchat photo chick.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, and I've taken a few notes because there was a lot going on, and I wanted to make sure that I got all your titles and all your acronyms included.
Okay, great.
So for anyone who's not watching the video but listening, the North American accent you're about to hear is not a Canadian accent.
It's not Canadian.
It's not cat. This is Jess Curl. So apart from having probably the most appropriate name for a gym owner that I've ever come across.
When I was on Tinder, the guy just saying, "Is that made up?"
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. But
it's just like a girls get the girls
Yeah.
kind of situation. All right, I've got here PT, S&C, Bachelor of Science. You're a podcaster. You're a blogger, a functional diagnostic nutritionist. You are also been previously a high-level soccer player, and now you're an elite level Spartan racer.
I am.
So, and you run and own your own gym, Project Better, right? So there's heaps that I want to talk about. Heaps.
It makes me sound really cool. I'm not.
It's funny how you just like it seems to be the goal is like building up all these acronyms and like it's all about the initials and so we've just been having a little bit of a chat, I guess, before we pushed record. In terms of a lot, we actually covered a lot. That was probably, I hope that wasn't like going to be the best like 10 minutes. But like I said, there's obviously, you know, when you get to the point where you have all the initials and you have the gym, it's almost like these are the things you've been working towards. And I guess the thing that I'm most interested in is like that story up to this point. How do we get here? I guess particularly for what the kind of podcast aims to do is, when did you decide that, hey, like health and well-being, health and fitness, like that's kind of for me, that's what I want to do. And this is where I'm ready to go all in. And if you can talk like Ackers and go all the way back and all the way around, brilliant.
I'll try. Look, I mean, I've always been an athlete.
Yep.
So when I was growing up, like my dad played high-level baseball and basketball. My mom was a cheerleader. Which is kind of lame, but whatever.
That's the quintessential.
I know. I'm like, yeah. So like growing up, like I don't fully remember all of this, but when I was like 2, the first words I could speak, my dad was teaching me like the lineup for the Twins and their batting averages, and thought it was just cool too. So it was always like a huge part of my life. And then from there, like I did like swimming, golf, tennis, basketball, soccer, but like everything I could do. And I was like just really lucky. I was kind of one of those kids that happened to be decent at whatever I tried, thankfully. Yeah. Where my little brother unfortunately didn't get those genes. But like all the way through high school, I was a 4-sport athlete. So we obviously do it a bit different in America. So we've got seasons. So there's like soccer one season, basketball, and then like volleyball and track another. So I just did that constantly from grade 7 all the way up to grade 12. And then I played collegiate soccer. So got a scholarship, played 4 years, 6 years actually at my university. And then
where was that? Where'd you go to?
It's called University of Mary.
Yeah.
It's like a Division II school, which means really not a whole lot. It was in my hometown. It was like a Catholic school. I'm not Catholic, but we had to do religion classes. It's kind of lame.
I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah. Like
all boys.
So,
the one that's been in the news a lot lately. I don't know if you watch these.
I'm the worst person with news. Like
good. Fantastic.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Like,
no need to segue.
Okay, cool. Like I can tell you some really funny stories. Like we call them Jessisms.
Okay.
Right? Like I didn't know about the coronavirus. I was like the last person to know about that.
Street Heinekens, right?
I know, it was bad. Anyways, so I played 6 years at university, and then I had a boyfriend who was Australian. He played on the men's team at my university, and he was like, "You should come to Australia, come and try and play." And I was like, "That sounds sweet. Australia sounds cool." Yeah. And then I came over and played for the Casey Comets, and had a pretty good season, and loved it. And I was like, I want to come back and play, so I went home and graduated. Came back the following year, and then I played for Casey for another season, played for South Melbourne for a few years, and then like your guys' grass and grounds here are like really painful. And I was like 10 years older than everyone else I was playing with, because everyone was still 18 and 17, and so I was like really sore, like everywhere, hips, ankles, knees. Like I just like kind of fell out of love with soccer a little bit. And like professional soccer here is like not, well, back then, at least that was 10 years ago. It's much better now, but it was just like, you know, we didn't do any strength and conditioning, any recovery, any pool work, like collegiate soccer, like women's.
Yeah, I think we've been behind the 8 ball a lot in most
just in even like strength and conditioning and like weight training and stuff. So coming from collegiate soccer where you've got mental training, you've got a whole gym, you've got a pool, you've got 3 sessions, like it was just like not what I expected, and my body was just like not enjoying it. So after a few years I was just like, I just stopped playing basically, but I loved Melbourne, so I decided to stay.
I love the way you say it. So thank you for saying it.
I know, I've learned that because that was weird. Like, Melbourne.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Gross. So loved coffee, loved people, loved the sport. Like I love footy. Like I think footy. Like I wish I would have been around growing up to play footy because it's like the most. Like I just think it's the most athletically amazing sport in terms of like running, endurance, speed, kick, throwing, catching.
No, there's no throwing. Like handball.
Well, like whatever. Like you know, like you gotta be with your hands and your feet. Like I just think it's amazing.
Who do you back for?
Sydney Swans. It's a relationship thing, you know. Like I'm sucked in. The boyfriend follows it.
Okay, acceptable.
And yeah, so then I just stayed, and then I started working at a gym, a local gym around the corner from where I'm at now, and took up strongman.
Yep.
Which I loved because I didn't have to run, because the running and the cutting was kind of like bothering me. And then I just like I put on like 13 kilos of mass and just like got strong AF and qualified for the Arnold's, so that was cool. And then one workout before, like 2 months before the Arnold's, I ruptured my Achilles. Which sucks. Yeah. So it actually doesn't hurt though. If you fully rupture it, it's like not painful at all. Yeah, it's only if you like a little partial. So basically had surgery, had a really bad reaction to the anesthetic. So I was in this hospital for like a week, 10 days. And then I don't know if do you know about Achilles ruptures or surgery at all?
Not a hate.
Okay, so after you have surgery, you have to actually like lie in bed for 4 weeks. You're not allowed to have your foot down except for like pee. So like my partner was like making me a whole cooler of food and like not sponge bathing me, but nearly, but you know, like just like it was the worst. And so then you get off bed rest and you go to your first physio appointment, which was great. He was like, looks good, awesome. I literally went home that day, walked into the house, and like re-ruptured my Achilles. So I heard this large pop, and I sat down, and I was like, I just started crying. Like straight away? I knew it right away, yeah. And then, so I called my partner, and I'm like, just like hysterical, you know, because I don't know what else to do. So then he's like, all right, he like drives to get me, and he's taking me to the doctor, and I'm like lying on the table, ultrasound, and the nurse, I guess, was like, there's no way.
Ultrasound tech.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. She's like, there's no way you could have ruptured it. You were in a boot, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, heard it. I was like trying really hard not to swear at her because I was like, you know, and I was like,
one of us in this room's done it before.
Oh, yeah. I got worried, but she's like, because you really shouldn't be able to rupture the boot because it's like stuck in you got heel wedge, all that stuff. And then she's like doing it, and then she's like, oh yeah, it's not there. And I'm like, cool. So first surgery, they just surgically put it back together like this, and then like wrap some stuff around it.
Badly, obviously.
Apparently. And then so then second surgery, what they had to do, I had to have a specialist in, they had to take the tendon from my big toe, drill a hole through my heel, graft it across my severed Achilles, which is in 3 parts. And I had a 7-centimeter gap. So it was the worst that the surgeon had ever seen, and he was like a Achilles specialist.
It's not like the PR you really sitting.
No. And so that was like another month of like full bed rest, and then another 5 months of just basically lying in bed turning to mush.
Yeah.
So
how long ago was this?
That was 2016. So January the 1st, redid it in Feb, and then I basically started hydrotherapy in like July, August. So it was with like a bunch of old people. It was awesome. I had like a little one piece on, and it was like everyone was like
winning the workouts.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I was just like, so yeah, started back with hydrotherapy, then to some land stuff. But basically, it took me about 9 months to get back on my feet, which is the most humbling experience. Like obviously, so I've blogged about it a lot because it was like the worst experience I've ever gone through, and I would never wish it upon anybody. But I'm like obviously so grateful it happened because I can appreciate how it changed my life, right? So at the time, I was working at a gym that was sponsoring me to stay in the country. They weren't super supportive through the whole process, and I was like having anxiety and all these things around it, trying to get back to loving being there, and to work. where my partner was like, you're amazing. Like, you can do this on your own. Like, you don't have to work for someone. And I was like, oh yeah, like I know a lot of stuff. Like, that's cool. And so it was really him dropping little knowledge bombs, like truth bombs, and like leaving them there without being pushy, where finally I was like, oh yeah, like we should do this. Like, we can do this. And then from there, I had a little mini garage gym, kind of like this, called the Gangsta Gym for a little bit. And then like Tris got a dividend, my partner, and he was like, should we buy a house or should we start a business? And I was like, okay.
Cool. Stock tips as well.
Yeah, right. And he was one, like, he was always like, well, at least if you have another business, you're making money, not
it's an investment.
Right? Yeah, right. So I was like, okay. And we just like found a spot on Smith Street. There was no other gyms around really, and but just like everything fell into place. We never had to advertise. We never had to put up ads or anything, because there was all these like small apartments that went up, and they were just like money makers. No pool, no gym in them. So like people just walk by, and because the gym's nice and it looks like a hipster cafe.
So for anyone listening and not actually watching, when we sat down to organize whether or not we would do this podcast, I'd had a look at and it's called Project Better, the gym. So go and check out the website so you know what I'm talking about. I'll leave a link in
the Instagram.
And Instagram. I think it looks amazing on the website too.
Thank you.
But it's basically, if you can imagine an architect and a hipster interior designer decided that they were going to have a garage gym. This is it. Beautiful hardwood floors, really nice low-hanging, like almost mood lighting a little bit. It is a beautiful place. And then Jess was like, oh, I'll come to you. I was like, fuck.
I didn't know. I was like, oh, like, I thought you like had a gym. And then I was going to message you today and be like, hey, do you want to come out? No. I mean, look, everything was thought of. The idea behind it was like, why are 24-hour gyms so ugly and gross?
Yeah.
You know, and it's really like, my partner is the one who was like Pinteresting and like creating the boards, and I like didn't really care about it. But so everything was done on purpose. The floor's already there. The walls actually used to be like painted like pink. Mm-hmm. So the brick was painted like baby pink because it was a Roxy at one point. So we were like, fuck this, let's just sandblast it and see what it looks like. And it turned out the way it looks. Yeah. The lights are low blue light spectrum, so that's why they're so nice and lighting and inviting. We obviously have like a sauna, infrared sauna, we got ice bath. So basically I create a space.
I'm so glad you came here and I didn't go.
I know, right?
Sounds terrible.
So I just like, we created a space that like we love, and then people just came to it. Yeah. Right. So like we're really lucky that like I think you get back what you put out, and like I say all the time, like I don't have any clients that like are drainers that I don't like, that like, and even our gym, like we don't have that many bros because we don't have, well, that's the vibes we put off, and we don't have any like, mirrors or anything either. So I think people can't like just like sit and flex on things. So yeah, we just like, and we're actually pretty much at capacity, which is also really cool. So we've got second site in the works at the moment, just negotiating some stuff, but looking like probably 2021, early 2021.
So for anyone who hasn't heard of Project Better before, because part of the conversation we had, I guess, off air, we did speak a little bit about CrossFit. Yep. Right. So if you had to describe the kind of training that you guys do there, is it primarily S&C? I know that you guys do offer classes and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we've got like a tiered system membership, so you can come. It's 24 hours. Yeah. So you can come and do your own thing, or you can come do small group training, or you can do like PT or semi-private model. So it's kind of depends on how much, it's choose your own journey, right? So if you want to come and do your own thing, or maybe get a program once a month, that's cool. If you want a bit more guidance, but it's still in the group setting, or if you want like the top, call it like the premium, then you can do that too. I guess like my background is mainly S&C. So, I mean, I don't throw out anything because I think everything has a place, right? We focus a lot on the big lifts and moving better, right? So our big thing, especially with classes, is probably getting people to move better in those like planes of the squat, the hinge, the push, the pull, the twist, like all those things that have carryover to life. Yeah. So, you know, if you can do... Sounds
like functional movement, constantly very performative.
Yeah, right? No, it's just how it's done, right? Yeah, it's just not that I don't like CrossFit. It's just the context that it's done. So we were saying before, I was saying off air that I was not a huge fan of CrossFit until I went to the States.
And experience real
and I
good
experienced
CrossFit.
like high level CrossFit coaches.
Drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid. No,
Yeah.
but I the thing is, I love that so much. Like, I love the pain cave.
Yeah.
Like, give me 100 burpees and a weight vest any day. Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever else, like, that sucks, right? So
I'm the same. Getting into that point of suffering and just being like,
man, it's so good. Like, and sometimes I'm like, why do I do this? But
usually during, and then afterwards.
Yeah. Well, and I think as well, so like with like our gyms too, is like we, like obviously prioritize like, yes, functional movement, but getting people posturally better. So our demographic is like inner city hipsters, 25 to 40, generally, right? So everyone's stressed out, overworked, slouching, tight hip flexors, weak glutes, like all that stuff. So
bike rack out the front.
You would have a bike rack out the front. Yeah. So, but that's what they are. So, and then like, look, I mean, I do throw in like some like 21:59 thing.
Yeah.
Because, just because I think people need to be able to do that. Like people need to be able to everyone should be able to run a 5K.
Yep.
Everyone should be able to deadlift your body weight.
Yep.
You know, I think those things are really important. And it's not that, I used to really hate running, or I still hate running, but I used to really hate the idea of someone being like, oh, I run 3 times a week. But if you're running, if you're only doing half an hour or a sprint, something that has a lot of benefit and carryover to the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, got a whole tangent.
Love it.
I didn't do any
You tell a story like that, tell a story. I love it.
So that's kind of that's the modality that we do. People come in I see a lot of people now with ailments or issues or symptoms, or I guess undiagnosed diseases, who have maybe exhausted the medical system. So this is where the functional diagnostic nutrition thing is it's not really nutrition. It's more blood work, stool testing, gut health, hormones, figuring out
spit, urine, and poo, basically.
Yeah, but it's that thing of okay, so if you're my basic parameters of health is movement, food, or what you put in your body, how you're sleeping, and your mindset, so happiness, all that stuff. So if you're doing 80% of those in all those areas, most things are going to work out all right. Yeah. And the thing is if something isn't up to par, or if you've got something underlying, or you pick up a parasite, or you've had kids or whatever, you might not be functioning where you should be. And so sometimes a lot of times I get people who are I've been to the doctor, my bloods are normal, but I don't feel good. Am I crazy? And I'm no. Yeah. You're not a crazy person, you know?
So we have that chat a lot, especially with blood work, that, well, you're in the average range, but look at the average population. You want to be one of those. You want to be average.
Yeah. And so it's a thing of you're in range, but if say what's good? I think B12 is 500 to 800 is the range, right? So if you're 5'10", you're still in range, but are you happy with that? Do you want to be there? Probably not, right? So, and it's it's a hard paradigm to shift because it's a broken system. That whole thing. I don't want to go to that because there's a whole lot of things going on there, but basically my job is to get people and be you're not crazy. Let's focus on these kind of things. Where are you not up to scratch, and what's the easiest things that we can fit in with your lifestyle? Because that's a huge thing too. Is you can't get someone to come in and go, you need to eat only this and none of this stuff, or take all these supplements, or everything's different. It's so bio-individual, and it's based off of what you're going to consistently do, just like training, right? So, and that's way more I'm way more passionate about outside the gym stuff, because that's the 1 hour I see you a day doesn't really matter.
That's the easy part.
Yeah, and it matters, but it's about, how are you managing stress, and are you going to bed before midnight, and are you yelling at everyone in your car because you're road raging? I don't know, what are you eating? There's so many other factors that come into it, and that I think people are lazy, people are uneducated, so they don't have the right tools.
I think ignorance tends to be the biggest one, right? Yeah, well, it's true, because you don't know what you don't know.
Totally,
right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the most exciting thing about the space that we're in now is that there is an evolution of people starting to pay attention and understand that
absolutely
being miserable all the time and whatever else is not it's not a conceited fact that you have to be like that.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to touch and circle back, because I think that the mindset element of things is something that for many years has been pushed aside as bullshit or fluffy or whatever else. But I think one of the things I really liked that you talked about a lot in your blogs, and you talked a lot about on your podcasts, And it's actually a conversation I had with Nick Scott as well last week, where we talked about the power of vulnerability, right?
Oh man.
And
Preach.
yeah, and it's almost like, I think for most people, we get to a point where it's easier to just push things down and try not to acknowledge them as a way of dealing with them.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that when you start to, for some of our nutrition clients, for example, what they're eating plays such a small role in like their overall transformation.
Absolutely.
And I think particularly in a time when we have the Instagram influencers and we have all these surrounded by highlight reels, that it is hard to make genuine connection. It's hard to have a genuine conversation with yourself. It's hard to look in the mirror and look yourself in the eye, and have those conversations about like, not what do I look like, but who am I as a person, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I think like when you talk about an approach that takes all those things in, it's usually unfashionable because it takes longer to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so it's like, I love like having conversations with people like yourself that have that like, if we're going to move overall into a better place, we need to pay attention to what we're doing outside of the walls of the gym.
Yeah, well, I guess it's you have to build trust first, right? Like you can't come in and go, oh, what's your shit? Like reveal it to me, you know? Like it is like that first part of like building the connection with someone and like having them understand that like you're on their team. Like we're on this journey together. It is not like, I'm not your parent, you're not my child, like I'm here to help you and give you the tools, but like you got to put it in practice, right? So
I'm not going to tell you off.
Yeah,
right?
no.
If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Absolutely. Like, well, it's funny because I used to be a thing where like, if you didn't get results, like I would be like, oh my, like I'm shit. Like, you know?
100%. Yeah.
And I think that's normal in this industry because we're all passionate about helping people and we want to make a difference. And so, yeah, all that stuff. But I guess like with like, I mean, first of all, Power of Vulnerability with Brene Brown is like hands down one of the best books I've ever read.
All right, so put that in the resources.
So have you read it before?
No, I haven't read it. No.
Listen to it. So if you're
Audible.
podcasting it, because it's her presenting it as like a.
Oh, it's a TED Talk?
Course. No. It's a book, but it's presenting as a course. So it's like two people and like you're there.
Yeah.
You're in the crowd, right? And she's so real and so raw, and you're like, man, like I cried. Like everything is just like these aha like truth bombs, you know? So I guess like with vulnerability is like you have to be vulnerable first, I think, you know? So that fine line of like,
and that's it's like easy to tell other people they need to do it, right? It's easy to tell other people to do it.
And the thing is like, you know, like I think it's important to teach people that we are human, because I think sometimes people are like, oh my God, the trainer is like here. I'm like, no, like the other night I had fruit toast and peanut butter for dinner. Like that's not healthy, but that's what Tristan brought home. And I was like, fuck it. Like, okay. And dark chocolate. Like, I don't know. It was weird. Like whatever. But
that's, Akka said that we had a conversation, the same thing. He goes, dude, being a nutritionist, more people can relate to you having a shit day and eating a pizza than like giving them a I was like, 100% agree.
So yeah, I think like, you know, I mean, I'm really lucky. I think that I have really taken on board how to create a safe space for people, you know, where it's like, I'm not like, tell me everything you want to tell me, but I'm like, okay, like if you want to talk to me, cool. If not, that's great too. I mean, it's not my role to be anyone's psychologist or anything, and I always refer out if I feel like they need something further. But you know, getting to the people's deeper shit is what is actually going to be the biggest change. Like people can come and put the right foods in their mouth. Like that, what's that like meme is like, you can drink all the water, you can train every day, you can eat the right foods, but if you're not dealing with like what's going on in your head, like you're not going to get the results you want. And so I'm really lucky, like coming from this space I was working out of, which was very like really fueled my passion for health and wellness from like a point of view that I've never gone down before. But they were like, you have to do it this way. It's a cookie cutter, like you must do this, you must have macros, you must have bloods done. And like people were so like, ugh, and the average person doesn't want to make health their number one priority. And that's cool, right? They just like, it's number 5, right? They got like family and
career,
work. Sure, and that's fair. And like, I think we need to remember that with people because they want to get a bit fitter and feel better. And should it be their number one priority? Probably should be in the top 2, right? But it's not. And so how do you work in that way with people so they still get little wins without like hating you for pushing them to do something already?
I think that's the beauty. I mean, you look at any relationship, whether it's coach-client, any relationship you have, the longer you spend in proximity with someone, like the more that's going to kind of build. And for that relationship and connection to evolve, you're going to have those kind of conversations, whether it's to benefit them for a professional reason or a personal reason, right?
Well, and it's personal training. You know what I mean? Like
It's like your hairdresser, right? They're not like a psychiatrist, but like you just dump all your shit. They have it the worst. Like imagine spending all day client after client. You're like, here we go again. Like just
because they're just sitting there talking. They're not even like doing under effort or exertion or anything. No, you're right. It is, and it's people tell us and hairdressers things that like they can't tell their spouse or they can't talk about anyone else because we're like this third party that is just here to listen.
Yeah.
Right? If you're doing your job correctly, right? I mean, if people want guidance or advice or feedback, like I try and give it if they want it, or if they just like want someone to bounce words off of. I'm like, okay, that's my role today, and that's fine. But I think you won't get very far with people if you don't have those skills or that ability or that passion. Yeah, to let people open up and chat to you, because at the end of the day, the gym's already a scary place. So like people are super intimidated, and then like if you don't create that welcoming, warm environment, they're gonna be like, they're not gonna stay very long.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a funny story. So I made my partner listen to The Power of Vulnerability because he's like, just standard man, like shove shit down and not deal with it, right? No offense to men. I know there's men out there that are not like that, but to people who are like that. So, but he listened to it and then he was like, we should get a dog. And I was like,
we should get a dog.
Well, I've been asking for a dog for ages, and I'm like, where's this coming from? It was about a few months before I went to the gym, and he was like, I just think if we had a dog, like I might have more like empathy and love, and like I was like, oh,
he's using all the right words.
Yeah, he's like don't tell anyone. I like to tell everyone. I'm like, it's the cutest story ever. But they just like, dogs have like, they love you after you've been gone for a minute or an hour or a few days, and they're like so present in the moment. And he's like, I just think maybe I would have better loving skills or whatever. Because I was like, cool, great, let's do that. So ladies, if you want to get a dog,
get it to listen to the dog. Yeah, it's so true. And I think that it comes to a point too, though, where, and I always like to segue back to balance, though, that yes, you need to be, and I'm trying to word this correctly, but it's hard to draw the line between when you can be vulnerable and when you're also, hey, like I'm here for them more so than the other way around. And then you also need to develop an element of, okay, I can't take this person's shit home with me as well, right? And I think I see this more so in small business owners, right? Because everything you do for work is so personal, and everything that you are doing to earn a living and everything else depends on, and you're always working to deliver the best and do the best and improve and be more efficient and increase your reach and try to help as many people as you can. Then it gets to a point where it's like, and I guess this is my question, is that, do you have anything in play? What do you do to almost like take the deep breath yourself and almost disconnect at night so you can get the 8 hours of sleep and get enough RAM and come back and do it all again the next day?
Look, like that's been a big learning curve for me, is not taking stuff home, because it's so easy to do. And I'm such a wear my heart on my sleeve kind of person. Yeah. So I used to do it a lot.
I was expecting a boyfriend
like,
there as your partner.
No, I got my partner there.
Okay.
But it didn't look anything like him, so it's a joke. It's like the biggest troll because he like doesn't have any muscles and he hates tattoos. So no, I used to like really like take a lot.
Always wear my heart on my shin.
I used to take a lot of home, and because it's so easy to do. I guess like now is like, I don't know. I really try to. So first I try to just like, when I leave work, like I try and like leave my computer, like leave my stuff, right? So I don't get home and think about stuff. I do floats weekly, which does help too, to decompress. I do meditation. I do all that normal stuff.
Do you like the floats?
I love the floats.
I did it twice. I fell asleep both times. I was like, I don't think I'm getting it.
Do you fall asleep when you meditate?
I can nap super easy, but like when it comes to like, okay, it's time to go to bed, that's usually when like all the thinking starts.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We should work on that.
So, yeah, 100%.
No, look, I love floats. I've never fallen asleep. But I have, the last like year, I probably really tried to go down my spiritual path, I guess you could say. Yeah. And work on my shit and work on my dark side.
Personal growth.
Yeah, like, but just from like a totally different angle. Because I recently did the holistic lifestyle coaching level 2 project, so that was like mind blowing. But I do like it. But so I use that as a huge tool to get home. But I think as well, like I've really taken on the since opening a gym, like I've learned you can't stress about things you can't control.
Yeah.
Because I'll die. I'll burn myself out and have, like have a brain aneurysm at 32. Because there's like always shit going wrong. Everything takes twice as long, as you would know with like starting anything. It's like twice as long, twice as expensive. Everyone promises you the world, like I don't know, software companies, like machine companies. Like we had a company forget our cable machine on the dock for 3 months. They're like, oh, it's on the way, it's on the way. And they're like, oh shit, we're like, sorry. Yeah. Someone forgot on the dock. I'm like, how? But like, how do you stress it? Like I can't control my stressing. Like, so with client stuff is like, I obviously like I get clients sometimes that come in and they just like need to cry. And I'm like, cool, like let's do that. We'll back room, we'll cry, like
so something about like physically hurting that just like unlocks that.
Yeah, totally. And that's cool. And like to be honest, like if I have to I'm pretty good about not taking that stuff home now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I mean I still feel for the person. Like obviously, and like I feel like I've got some of my clients are my closest people in my life.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, like as you do with you spend hours a week with someone. But yeah, like I've just like really implemented tools around meditation, and my saying is like, don't sweat the petty, pet the sweaty. So, don't sweat the small stuff because it'll literally kill you. So, after I read this book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers by Robert Sapolsky, he basically talks about
how the resources.
It's a good book. It's nerdy, but it's like not too nerdy that if you don't know anything about health, you wouldn't understand it. But it basically talks about how stress will kill you. Any kind of stress. So your body recognizes all stress the same, whether it's emotional, financial, relationship, whatever. But it just basically tells you how, in every which way, it can break you down, like physically, physiologically. And so from there, I'm like, oof, if I'm gonna work 90 hours and be an elite athlete and have a partner and dogs, 2 dogs, and also not like have a fulfilled life, like you just have to. I still probably do a little too much, and that's okay. Like I try and recharge on the weekends as well, but like I really find things like my training's like my me time. So like I go to Ninja a few times a week, I go for runs, I do stuff in the gym, I go rock climbing, like that for me is quite recharging.
I think you have to. I think you, in terms of, I mean, like when you take that, you have to be a certain type of personality to want to start your own business.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
And I think you have to have a little bit of that. Yeah, I'm good to work 90 hours a week.
The grind.
At least to start.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
And I think the difference between working 90 hours a week when it's your own thing and when it's someone else's thing is immensely different, and it's not comparable. But yeah, I'm reading Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek at the moment, and that's a really big one in talking about like.
Did Chris tell you that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I went to get it, and it wasn't on Audible yet, and I was like, I'm gonna have to actually read the book. And then it was like, releasing like in a week. I was like, yes, perfect timing. But he talks about the same thing in terms of like forming your tribe and the importance of relationships, and even goes as far as talking about like. Serotonin, oxytocin, all these like chemical releases that come from intimate relationships, and being vulnerable and having a network of trust that surrounds you, and the importance of that anthropologically as much as like it is culturally relevant now. So
totally. Well, I think that's part too. Is like I have 4 trainers that work with me, and they're just like rock stars. Like one of them just like slid into my DMs, like our other head trainer. He was like, hey, he's like, I'd love to come work for you. It's like the 2 months after you open, I was like, I can't pay you, but you can come and hang out. And he's like, that's fine. I'll just be around. And I was like, what?
Until you can,
yeah. And we just like, did some emails and stuff for him, and he picked up clientele. But like, man, like I think it trickles down from the top. Like I'm not saying like I'm pretty amazing, but like I think like like we do a lot of one-on-one stuff now. So now that I'm into the second year of the business, I still see some clients, but now it's more about upskilling my crew, making sure everyone.
It's about running a business more than it's about.
Yeah, and if we got second side coming up, like I gotta be making sure that it can run without me. Yeah. Or I can run go to the next one. So doing a lot of stuff around there, and like everyone is just like for me, it's like keen to like learn, like they want to be at the gym, they are just like hungry. Yeah. Which that's what I love. Like I don't think anyone should burn themselves out for me. Yeah. But like are more than happy, like everyone gets like about like 4 hours a week with either myself, like one-on-one, and a few groups as well, like mentoring stuff. So that's everything from like actual training, like programming or nutrition or goal setting or mindset or whatever, like I kind of think either they need to work on and what they want to work on as well. So, yeah, to become just like to flourish as a trainer. And so like they wouldn't be around doing it like they do unpaid training because they just want to learn. And like for me, like that's huge. So yeah, so that also helps my stress levels too.
I think the evolution as a business owner, you can tell when you first talk to people about balance and they're quite new into, or they don't have, I think the big one is don't have a partner. Yes, they don't have any balance at all.
Yeah.
And things are going really well now and they feel like they're established, but there's always in like the back of the mind, it's like, and I like, not necessarily on air, but you always have that conversation afterwards. It's like, dude, you need to start like trying to learn because otherwise you're going to get to a point where you're going to resent everything you've built so hard.
Absolutely.
To get, right? So, yeah, it's funny when you get to that 3-4 year stage of owning your own business where it does become like, I don't think I'm the best coach that we have at MTMN.
Yeah, sure.
And I love that because that means that I'm able to learn more of the people that we have around. And if I get a client that I'm struggling with and I'm not sure which road to go, I have people that I trust that I'm able to ask questions of.
Yeah, of course.
And I think we all have different strengths and different elements and et cetera. But it does become, it gets to a point where it's like, not that it's becoming less about the work, but you almost feel the better the business is going and the more people start to hitch their ride to your wagons, like the more responsible you get to find that it's like, okay, well, if the business failed 3 years ago and me and Kat decided we didn't want to do it anymore, walk away.
Yeah, sure.
But now we have 4 coaches and we have 2 admin staff and we've got a client base of 150 and it's like, now we can't fail because there's too many people relying on us not to fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it just becomes more about like, what else can I do to help the business and grow the platform and upskill my coaches and keep them happy because I don't want them to leave either because like, hiring new people is such a pain in the ass as well. And trying to find the right people, like so it's always interesting to try to step back and look at like, and that's why I love doing the podcast because it's like, okay, cool. What's Jess doing that I can try to take a little bit from? What's Nick doing and what's Chris doing and what's Josh doing? And
that's what it is, right? It's about like no one's perfect and like that's why in anything in life it's like it's all gray. Yeah. Right? Like what works for you now might not work for you.
Nutrition and training, right?
It really is. Like because like, you know, I always hope in like so when we started I was working like 18-hour days. I was the only one there, right? So we were running classes, I was with clients, and like I had one trainer come on and I kind of had a few hours off and now I was on 6 days, now 7. And now this year I only work Monday to Friday. Like I get a 2-day weekend and it's been amazing, right? Because like people do stuff on Saturday. It's crazy.
You've like, just doubled off time.
Like it's
that's
it's
huge.
Insane. But it's like it makes a huge difference. And like it's like that whole saying of like if your cup isn't full, you can't give your best to others, you know. And I think like I know there's all these memes around, but like it's actually true. Like so I like for me like I prioritize sleep. Like I'm phone airplane mode 7:30 every night. Maybe on the weekend, maybe not, but like Sunday to Friday, like my clients know they come to me, I'm not responding. Yeah. Right. Like
I think that's a skill you have to learn as well.
And
right?
it's like I've done it now for 2 because I have to I'm shit house. Anything less than 8 hours, I'm like not a nice person. Right. Like I don't know how I'm gonna have kids. So be careful. But like for example, I had a friend, one of my clients is a really close mate of mine. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Kyle. But he's having this huge thing tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And initially I was like, oh yeah, man, like I'll come, like, okay, it's Saturday. I can sit.
And that rolls around and you're like,
no, but then the next day I thought about it and I was like, I messaged him. I was like, hey man, like it's too late. Like it's going to be too late for me. I've got a half marathon Spartan coming up in a week. Like I was like, it's going to be too late. Like I'll take it for brunch. Like, are you okay with that? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, man, I totally understand. So, you know, so I think like, yeah, it's scary. And most people would be able to do it because they'd be like, your friends would be like, oh, what the fuck, bro? Like, or whatever. But like, I built it, you know, but I built that up. So, and people understand that about me and they know that's a huge priority for me. And for me to function and get up at 4:50 every day, like I have to keep that in mind. And I know enough now around circadian rhythms that going to bed at 9 p.m. I'd be a real sick unit on Sunday, Monday. So
yeah. I think, and I know you're a big fan of sleep, and that tends to be like a lot of what you do talk about and blog about and podcast about. Yeah. And it's kind of not ironic, but it tends to be the first thing that people let go, right? And I think especially small business owners, like there's always more and more doing. And I'm notorious. I'm terrible for it. Like we've been trying to spend more time at the moment, like growing our reach on Instagram and stuff like that. And the way that I'm trying to do that is just trying to be like super positive on like complete random posts. posts. So
Yeah, right.
kind of
Okay.
like I'll like search a hashtag like weight loss transformation and like really post stuff. I'll be like good on you, you took responsibility, like you deserve it, and just try to spread a little bit of positivity that way. But it's also like, it's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like fucking around on Instagram, and Kat's like, hey, but then she's like on like Netflix as well. I'm like, this is worse. Like it's just like,
it's so hard.
They just creeps in.
Like, and I get it, right? Like I totally, I see both sides. Like I understand. Like I understand people have a nightlife. Like I've actually really never, I mean, in college I partied, but like I've always been a morning person. Like I've always been someone I can get up 4:30. But I was always the first one to fall asleep, even at like sleepovers when I was a kid, right? So I don't know if that's like my clock or what, but it's hard because like not only is there like things happen at night, fun things happen at night, right? But like also there's social pressure, like people like it's just like not drinking or not eating.
That's why having a baby's
it's
the
always an excuse.
That's the
best. I've had a baby, but we were talking about that. I'm like, can't wait till the kids. I'm like, can't come, sorry. Like little Johnny's being
sick. Sick.
But like it is a thing. But I guess like I don't know. It's the one thing you can mask, right? Like so I talk about like a lot of my vlogs is like you could take sleeping pills and you wake up, you can have a ton of caffeine. So like it's like, you know, as you would probably know, you can fast for over a year on just water, right? There's a guy who fasts for 382 days, fully fine. Lost like, he was 400 pounds, something like lost a lot of weight, but fine. Just water. Amazing.
Yeah.
But, you know, you go like 12,
what a miserable
15 days without sleep and you die.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and my mom's a neurodiagnostic technologist. She's a sleep doctor. So when I was a kid, like I used to sleepwalk and sleep talk and did all these like, weird things. So I was like her, like
she was like programming.
Yeah, like she was like putting things on my head and like
That's
and
awesome.
so and I've always found it because I remember like sitting in your office and like reading like dream books or like learning about like there's so much they still don't really know. They know a lot about sleep, but they don't know a lot about sleep. You know what I mean? So they're still
nutrition.
like they're still like they found like a glymphatic system in your brain, which is like your lymphatic system, but it's in your brain.
Yeah.
And it actually like flushes out at night. You know, and they know like certain things happen at certain phases in your sleep, and like there's just so much like from a circadian rhythm. So I love circadian. I'm reading this book called The Circadian
Another
Code.
one. Let's go. There's 3.
I'm listening to this book actually, not reading, but basically the main thing is like as humans, like we want to run on clockwork because it's more efficient.
Yeah.
Everything, right? So everyone knows like the light.
Routine and
but everyone knows like for example like the light, you know, stimulates your cortisol in the morning, and if you're walking at screens at night, like watching Netflix, like you know, you don't produce your melatonin. But more on top of that, so light resets your brain. But what they found is that in your organs you have clock genes. So every organ has its own genes, right? But it also runs on a circadian code. So meaning like your food dictates this. There's a lot of really interesting food stuff in there. So like the first time you put calories, so it could be coffee, it could be breakfast, whatever you want to call it, in the morning, like your organs switch on and start going through the motions. But it takes food to do that. So just like babies, like think of kids, like we have it as like, okay, they eat breakfast at this time, then they eat lunch, and then they eat dinner, shower, bed, right? And so that's how we should be. Yeah. Because we would function so much better, but we just live in the normal world and we don't do that. And so when you like, they've shown like going to bed over an hour later, eating a meal an hour later than you usually would, like there's all like so small, but like have a huge impact to how you sleep, how you recover, how you're burning body fat through the night, how you're producing growth hormone, like all that stuff.
I'll put a link as well. Jeez, I got a lot of links to put in.
Sorry.
That's right. Because you did do, I think it was one of your podcasts, you talked about the importance of a bedtime routine.
Yeah, right? So important.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more for us? And the other question I want to ask before you do that is one thing that I've been really looking into, and I'm like on the cusp of purchasing, is like blue light reduction or like
blue blocking glasses.
Yeah, blue light blocking glasses.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's cool because now like the iPhone and like your computer has like
the automatic. Yeah.
But yeah, like as long as you get a good pair, because I think sometimes they can be kind of bullshit.
I'll have to show you the pair I'm thinking.
Yeah. Look, if they're like a very like popular brand, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Because you can get like I've got like Baxter Blue, and they're like really minimal. So obviously like I do have Dave Asprey's like red ones, which are real creepy, and orange ones.
Yeah, the orange ones. Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea is that it's not letting your retina see the blue light, so that you aren't producing cortisol anymore, and that your pineal gland can produce melatonin to go to sleep.
Yep.
So I think like especially like lights that are in your house, like even if they're on, will cause a shift in your melatonin production. Like So we don't have like salt lamps around our house.
There's an element of like, you're supposed to put your lamps on the ground, right? And turn the big lights off at night so that it simulates the sun setting.
Sun going down. I mean, like the salt lamps are good because like it's the same color scheme as like fire.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that triggers you to why now. That's why camping's actually, if you want to reset your circadian rhythm and like learn to sleep better, camping's like the best thing you can do. Like don't take any technology, just go out, get up with the sun, go down with the sun. It takes like, I think they said like 2 or 3 days to like reset yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to do that and get your hormones functioning better,
yeah.
Huge. So I think blockers definitely have a place, like, you know, like Survivor's on at the moment. So like doing a little bit of that. And I mean,
season 48 or something.
No, the American's on season 40. Australia's on season 6. Not that I'm counting, but so
footy season is back.
Oh yeah, footy season back too. Yeah, that too. Look, I mean, it's one of those things, but like, you know, I don't expect people to not watch the footy or so like, for example, if I'm like, if I'm gonna watch something, like I make sure I have my dinner. I try to have my dinner like 3 or 4 hours like before bed, just so I'm like not breaking down food. My body can focus on actually shutting down and digesting, and then like make sure I have my melatonin. And then, my magnesium, not melatonin.
I was gonna say, there's not much research to support melatonin taking. I've had a few people that play with it, but there's not a whole lot.
I use it for like traveling, like so if I travel time zones, to get like the idea is that you start taking it a few days early to the time zone that you're going to be in, so then you can start producing melatonin at that time zone. And I'll start wearing my blue light blockers as well, so then it kind of teaches the body like, hey, this is where we're going. I
just have this vision of you cruising around like Brunswick Street with your blue light blockers on. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning.
I wore them once to like I went to a big room yoga and I wore them and everyone was like, who the fuck is, because the lights are like, I was like, dude, like shut the lights off, it's yoga. But so I mean, like if you're gonna watch footy, right, like I would make sure like have like, if you can, like your earliest dinner, like take your magnesium, like sip on water, wear your blue light blockers, like maybe try and do something like I have like a Shakti mat, which is like a acupressure mat I lie on. Sometimes it just helps to like, they call it a sleep mat. I don't know why, right? But I understand it's like meant to like help you kind of wind down and relax, or try and foam roll or something like a bit more yin based.
So you bring that parasympathetic service.
Yeah, like while I'm doing it, like I try one of my goals listed here is like, if I'm gonna watch TV, I'm gonna make it productive, if that makes sense. Right? So something kind of beneficial. And then I still try and like shut it off and like either, I've been listening to like hypnosis things lately, or meditation or something like before bed. So even though I've like kind of like pumped my sympathetic nervous system watching something exciting, I try and like mitigate it as much as I can. So around like in terms of routine around bedtime, so going back to like, we're just big babies, you should ideally do the same thing every night at the same time. But obviously you want your room to be like cool, dark, quiet. Like basically the drop in body temperature is what triggers your deep sleep.
Which is hard when you sleep with a partner too, right?
It's so hard. And 2 dogs, also very hard.
A pregnant partner.
Yeah, pregnant partner. Yeah.
Bed hogs.
We sleep with like our non-negotiable is like in a room that has to have aircon. Like every time we've like lived in different houses, like that's the one thing, because we prioritize sleep. Like if I'm gonna be going to bed at 7:30, I need to make sure it's good sleep. So blackout curtains. It's cool. It's obviously dark. And then getting the second dog was kind of annoying because he's like a cuddler, and I'm like it's the worst thing about the sleep at the moment. It's not that bad, but it's just like, and then just like, I mean, there's things like chili pads you can get, which are like a pad that actually runs cool water through it. You can line that would probably they're quite expensive, but
so like as the part of the housewarming gift to ourselves in the house, we're getting a king size bed, so I can just like
like
push it back on the bed.
And then like there's always other things you can. I mean, I try and do things around without. I mean, I think magnesium is super important just in general, and I think something probably everyone can take. I'm not a doctor, but can take pretty safely. And because like magnesium has a role in the body where it down regulates cortisol, so that's what everyone needs to be doing, because we're all in this already high stress world. And so I think like keeping those bedroom tips, and then obviously keeping your room for only sleeping or sex, not reading, not watching TV. Like I think the last study I saw said like if couples have TV in their bedroom, they're like 50% less likely to be intimate. So, which makes sense, right? And then even things like,
there's always that one partner that like it's like 4 minutes into a movie and it's like
Yeah, like look,
Glad we spent half an hour trying to decide what to watch.
Oh,
Cat.
dang it. Yeah, so it's just like little things like, you know, if you can shut off screens an hour and a bit before bed, that's going to be the best thing for you. Getting outside while the sun's going down is off or coming up. Like those are really good things for starting your day and ending your day because your body's like, oh, okay, sun's going down. Like we need to start winding down too. And then
how do you manage that? And we've gone completely off topic.
Yeah, I know.
Which is fine because I'm really enjoying the conversation. I'm getting a lot out of it. So this is the perk of not having a big listenership. It's like, this is for me.
Yeah, it's great. That's good.
It's winter in Melbourne. It's 4:30. Sun's going down. Are you just like, all right, guys, I'm not coaching evening classes like during winter?
I don't do evening classes. I don't do night time at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, yeah. Look, I mean, technically, yes, you should be.
Yeah.
Going, like, winding down for the night, but that's just not how it works, unfortunately. So, I mean, I would still try and, like, keep all those habits similar if you can, but, like, you just might feel a bit more tired, I guess.
So if we had to do, Jesus, we've been talking for a while. If we had to do just a top 3, like, here's 3 super simple things that's going to improve your sleep that you can start doing tonight, would it be, like, take some magnesium, pick a bedtime and stick to it and increase the time between dinner and bed?
Oh, yeah. I think the second would be like, not pick a day, because if someone picks like 1 a.m. and be like, that's dumb. Try and go to bed by 10 p.m. probably. Yeah.
Is there any truth to like, it's like every hour before 10 o'clock is worth 2?
Oh, I've never heard that. No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm killing it if it is.
Yeah. You get like 16 hours at night.
No, I think, I mean, there is truth to like the first half of your sleep is very like mentally
psychologically like recovery.
Yeah, I was like, what is the right word? And then the second half is very physical.
Yeah.
And then like in like Chinese medicine and stuff, they've shown like there's different things and organs that turn over at certain times. I don't know the validity of that, but I have had a lot of clients like I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning or like 2 o'clock, like on the dot every day. And there is some research suggesting that between like 1 and 3 is like your liver possibly turning, which could be like if you had a shitty dinner and then your blood sugar is dropping and your gluconeogenesis is going up. So I don't know, but I definitely think ideally trying to get to bed by 10 o'clock is a good goal. So 10 o'clock, magnesium, and your earlier dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest benefit that I've noticed in trying to pay more attention to getting to bed earlier is the ability to get up earlier.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And I think like for us and given that we work over multiple time zones as well, if I can get up an hour and a half before I have my first client, I can almost get a day's worth of work done before that first client starts. Right. So if I have a PT client in here at 6:30, which I often do, getting up at 5 means that I can have some time to like wake up, right? Which takes me a little while. And then like get some emails out, get some programs out before the rest of the world is like awake and like.
How good is it? Yeah.
It's good until then you get a client who's like, can we do 5:30? And you're like, yeah, no, I'm not getting up at 4. So I'm still in the midst of like trying to like, I love routine. Like I love that. Yeah. I would love to get up at the same time every day, train at the same time every day, go to bed at the same time every day. Yep. I could do that on repeat 7 days. No problem.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to accommodate like all other things as well, I'm still yet to find the perfect day plan where I can get everything into how I want to get it.
Well, that was my goal this year, is to try and create like a perfect average day and what does that look like. So like I used to start clients at like 5 or 5:30. Now I don't start till 6. That was like, I'm in a position where I can do that and go, okay, like this is how I'm doing it. And what I've done is actually I personally do a semi-private model now. So I can have like 1 to 4 people in a session. So I train 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. And then like they've got their home-based slots. And then after that, like I have a few stragglers that are like my regulars or whatever, but like that's it. That's my bulk of my morning. Yeah. But I still get up, like I get up at 4:45 and I do like my meditation, I do my journaling, I make my coffee, and then I start my day. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. But it's good. I feel super productive in the morning. Like I used to get up and do a bit of study and stuff beforehand.
With the morning, with the day, right?
Right, man. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's another thing. Another way to like actually increase like go to bed better is like have a better morning routine. So like, where you're getting up, starting your day, like getting that win in.
Yeah.
And like, okay.
That's one thing that when I have clients who have really shitty sleeping patterns, that I find the most useful is like try to reset your sleep by getting up at the same time. So the first 2 nights, if you can't get to sleep till 12, I guarantee by night 3, Like if you're still getting up at 6 a.m., you're going to be exhausted and you'll want to go to bed at 8.
Absolutely. Well, I kind of tell, I try and do it like in 15-minute increments. Either way, right? So if people want to get up earlier, I'm like, okay, because I can't go like, if you get up at 9 a.m. every day, I can't say, let's get up at 5. You're just like, shit, right? But like, I'm like, all right, like, let's start really, really small and like 8:40, 8:45, like, or just like hop out of bed at the time. Because then at least, they are starting to shift it, but it's like if you time travel, if you travel across time zones, not time travel. It takes like,
it is.
Yeah, technically.
You're only going backwards and forwards.
They say you can only really shift like an hour a day. Roughly, right? Like that's the
jet lag is supposed to be like 1 day for every time zone you check every.
Right. Well, I read the last thing I read was like it was only like 1 hour a day. So meaning like when I was in the States and it's 17 hours difference. I don't think it's too. I mean, I think I also think I'm the outlier of like health. Too, right. Like I use things like I use melatonin. I use like this thing called the human charger, which is like it's like photobiogenesis. So it's like a light that mimics sun, so you can use it like as to like trick your brain. Very cool. But I use all those little like tips and tricks and
witchcraft.
It is witchcraft and like infrared sun at nighttime to help me wind down. So like I pulled all the bells and whistles, but I think for the normal person it takes a little bit longer, unfortunately. So, but it's hard. Like and anything change is hard. So it is also like getting people to like want to go back to grit and drive and stuff like that. Like they have to want it to, or else that's just never going to happen.
Yeah, completely agree. You can give people the perfect plan, but if they're not ready and they don't want it, they're not going to do it.
Absolutely. We did it. Myself and my team did like it's called Nudge. It's like this, another book, but it's this course on behavior change.
Yeah.
And so it talks about like motivation's bullshit. Like I can give you I can say smoking's going to kill you, but you'll still smoke, or like all that stuff. Like there's no fear factor, but like what you do is like habit loop. So you find the trigger, the ritual, the reward. So
this is Atomic Habits, basically.
Essentially. So I don't know if these guys are the same, but like they've created like this little course. It's like really cheap and really easy to follow. But basically, it's like find that trigger. So you get home, you're tired. The wine's in the fridge. Have rituals like pouring a glass of wine, sitting on the couch. The reward is the wine, right? So like, okay, let's like work backwards. You can have good habit loops. And you can have not so good habit loops. So like figuring out where the fault is, not the fault, where the trigger is the big thing.
I just read Undistractable by Nia Air or something. I can't remember his last name, but he basically talks about like the formula for distraction. He's supposed to talk about how to become a distraction.
Cool.
And similar to James Clear stuff, where like the way that you set up and interpret your environment has a big impact on. And I say to my clients, if you're trying to stop eating shit, stop buying shit, because if it's not there, you're not going to eat it, right?
Fruit toast. If there's fruit toast in the house, you're going to eat it.
And that's it. And I notice, or if you want to drink more water, keep your water bottle where you can see it. Every time you look at the water, you can be reminded, right? So I think, the habit building and habit loops and that kind of like that dopamine hit on like, it can go so wrong, right? Like when you like, how many followers, how many likes, or whatever.
Oh man.
But if at the same time, like getting up early, I find like, okay, take 10 minutes. Here's my like to-do list, or like here's my day plan. And every time I finish, I'm like, cross it off. I'm like,
so good. You're like, yes. I'm a lister.
It's like number one, right to-do list. Cross it off. We're on. I'm also a really big fan of Ben Bergeron talks a lot about like set your alarm for the time you need to get up and get the fuck up. So the first thing you do with your day is not procrastinate everything that you have to do.
I've literally gone back since coming back from America and listened to every one of his podcasts.
Chasing Excellence.
The whole thing. I listened to the book a few years like when it first came out, but I just listened to like backdrafted all of his stuff, and I'm like, dude, this guy's a genius.
Yes, super funny. I really like Joe Rogan's podcast. When he has real guests on, like I don't know same. But I don't like his stand-up. Ben Bergeron, I'm the same. I love the podcast, but like didn't like his TED Talk, and I wasn't really super into the book. I haven't
watched his TED Talk yet, so
if you've read the book, it's kind of the same. Just talks about Catherine Davis.
Yeah. She's amazing. Okay, we get it.
Rope climb and show everything else. Yeah, we get it.
She's so angry about
it. Cool. Yeah, I think it's and not enough attention or not enough respect maybe is given to those like little things. And I think we see a lot of people feeling like there's going to be this monumental occasion where they can make this big decision and like that's going to be the game changer. They're going to be able to pinpoint the moment in time when it's really like the other 1,399 decisions that you make.
Yeah,
A day that you don't think about, that you just absentmindedly do.
Absolutely.
Because where you are is essentially just a reflection of every decision you made up to this point in time, right?
Yeah.
So if you're focused on like where you want to go,
Yeah.
you want to at least subconsciously be thinking like, are the choices that I'm making that thinking aligning to where I'm saying, or who I want to be, or where I want to end up, or are they not? Right.
Yeah. And it's really like, I guess as well, like your reality is subjective.
Yeah.
You know, so
everyone has their version of the truth.
Yeah. Right. Like, so last year I did this 9-week mindfulness course by Joe Dispenza. So he wrote How to Break the Habit of Being Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like emotions aren't real, and talking about quantum physics and like crazy realm shit. And like, you know, like my partner, like Tristan's like, this is fucking dumb. Yeah. Like he was like, this is not real. And I'm like, whatever. But you know, it is really about like, not even that, whatever you want to believe is fine, but like just bringing awareness to like why you're making a decision.
Yeah.
So now like from all this kind of spiritual stuff that I've done recently in the last year is like more of like, sometimes I look at a situation and I'm like, almost like outer body being like, oh, like why am I feeling this feeling about this conversation or this thing, or why do I want the chocolate? Is it because I'm actually hungry? Is it why am I pissed off at Tristan? Like, did he really piss me off, or am I just like, you know, digging up something or whatever? But it's just like all those things, right? Like, so like even like we started seeing a psychologist last year, just business, relationship, like working on that fourth pillar, right? So, and the big thing was like, you know, like why you're arguing with each other is like generally nothing to do. It's not because he didn't do the laundry. Well, maybe a little bit, but like, you know, that's not the reason.
You're always projecting. Always projecting. Yeah.
You know, and then the other thing was like it's not about like buying a ring and like buying a house. It's about the little things you do. So like the little things that we still do, we don't see anymore because I don't know why we probably should, but the little things were like, okay, I get up and leave first thing in the morning. He walks dogs, brings dogs to gym. And so the first interaction we have, he comes to the door, he sees me, doesn't matter if I'm with the client, just like a quick, like, good morning, like kiss or whatever. But it's like, and it's so small, but now every time we enter or leave like a place or a room or whatever, like there's always a hello and a goodbye. And it's so tiny, but it like has, like our relationship was great before, but just has shifted it to like a whole, this is like our thing. Right? And it's a tiny 1% thing, but like, you know, it makes you feel special. You have that connection, that interaction, and it's like, okay, good. That's how it is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
There's certainly a level of whatever word I choose here is not going to be the right word because it's quite hard to explain. But when you do find that person, like everything that we've been able to achieve with MTMM, I could never have done if I didn't have Kat.
Sure, absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And it's not just because she's so like anal retentive about
Amazing.
detail and psyche driven, loves numbers, but it's just that. You feel like no matter how deep the shit, you're not in it alone. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And sometimes you just need someone else's perspective to be like, it's okay. Like, if you try it and you fail, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, and I think having that person, like you want that for everyone too. Right. And it's so, I think it's so hard to explain. And I think the more, or I see a lot of my friends that, you know, we're kind of early 30s coming into like mid 30s and not panic stations that they're still single, but it's a lot of like, and I think there's a danger there too of being like, you need to be okay with yourself so that you can be a valuable member of a relationship, not get yourself into a situation, where you're going to define yourself by a relationship or require someone to give you a pump up, right? To get shit done. So, I love that. Those little kind of like secret handshakes, right? Like that kind of, we belong to a secret club. It's just like two of us and like, it's cool.
Well, that's what, I mean, I'm really lucky too. Like Tristan and I, we race together. Like we have a lot in common. Like I'm really lucky. Like some people, you know, like it's hard. I find it hard for people when like you come to me and you're like, I want to get fit and I want to eat clean. I'll do all these things, but then your partner's like, I don't want to do any of that. I'll never do. You know, like that's.
Oh, you're choosing the gym instead of time with me.
Or like, you know, just like is the limiting factor, which sucks, right? Because, you know, if you come home and I'm making, I don't know, like lasagna and you're trying to be on like a healthy kick and you want salad and steak, like you probably just need lasagna. Yeah. Like because like, like absolutely, you know, and once in a while, that's okay. Like it's not okay, but it's really hard because, you know, like if you don't have that person, at least like, I'll make you a dinner. I know people will like, their partner will like make them a dinner and then like not make rice for them, which is great. But it is really hard if you don't have that person. Like I think you said, she's the numbers. Like we have a joke where like I say I'm the brawn and he's the brains of the business because he does all the accounting and the numbers and I just like I mean, I don't just run, but I do the day-to-day stuff. I'm there. I'm kind of the face-ish of the business. Like when people call, it's to me. Like,
Yeah.
But I don't do any of the back-end stuff really. It scares me to think about it. If something happened to Tristan. I'm like, okay, like, you know, but like we're also in it together. Like when we got the building, we tore all the walls down. We built it. We spent 4 months like in the rafters in 50-degree heat, like painting. You know, we were really in that grind together.
Yeah.
And like being in it together, like it still sucks. But like if something like we built, it was like our baby, our pregnancy baby.
Well, I mean, you kind of rise to level those around you too, right? And if you always look to your left and your partner's always like busting their ass, it's like, what am I going to do? Go to bed while Kat's like setting out client programs at like 11 o'clock at night? Like,
no. Well, I guess he was like I'm really lucky. Like, well, Tristan's really lucky. I'm really lucky because, but like he has a very different attitude around like money, for example, that has like shaped how I view money, right? So he's like, okay, we'll put a couple $100,000 in the gym. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, like where, you know, he's having a few successful businesses, like, well, you've got to spend money to make money. And his whole philosophy is like,
she's like, when Kat hears that, she's gonna be like, I told you. And I'll be like, it's not just spend money to spend money, Kat.
You know, and like he's very like low stress. So like things happen and it just like rolls off his back. Where we were talking in the beginning, where like things would happen, I'd be like, oh my god, like I'd freak out. And he'd be like, well, and he's pretty good about not rubbing in my face, but like trying to teach me a lesson about things, right? Like
it's balance, right? Like you need someone who like sees the big picture and someone who's like more focused on the details.
Like I hated the space when we first got it. I was like, this is gross.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, like he could see it, and I was like, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't have that like at all. And you know, even like so like last year we had to go through this. Well, for me it was very traumatic. I had to fire somebody. Yeah. It was the first time I've ever had to fire anyone, and like I'm very grateful for the situation because I learned a lot about like myself, about the process, about hiring, et cetera, but like, and he was just like, that was like one time he was like, why are you bringing this home? And I was like, because I was like losing sleep over it. Yeah. Right? Like confrontation sucks, and having those conversations sucks, and firing someone sucks, and where he was just like, this is what it is. Like you just gotta
detach.
Yeah, you just gotta detach. And it I actually didn't until finally like letting this person go and dealing with it, and it was like fully traumatic. But I can look back now and be like, hey, like lesson learned, thank you universe, tick 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 tick. But he was just like, he's like, you can't, and I just like, I don't know, I couldn't. I guess that's where we differ.
Man, I don't know. I don't know why, but I always am amazed that not everyone thinks the same way I think. You know what I mean? I know that's like the weirdest thing to say, but sometimes someone will say something, and usually like if you're talking about say politics or whatever else, and it's just like, I'm always like, what happened to you that like you're so angry or you think that, or like, and I don't want to get into political discussion at all, but I like to think of myself as like pretty open-minded, like. You know, if I'm doing something and you can demonstrate to me, hey, it'd actually be better if you did it like this. I like to think that like I'd be able to take that on board. And I guess this would negate the whole process of doing this if I wasn't willing to do that. But it is so interesting to see, to have someone who is on exactly the same path as you, like doing the exact same, essentially like job that you're doing, but coming at it from like a completely different perspective. And I don't get it, but fuck, I appreciate it.
Well, there's lots of ways to skin a cat, right? Like programming, like food, like you know, it's one of those things. Like I try, like some of the boys that work with me now, like one of them is fresh out of school, and he's always like so paranoid his program's gonna be perfect. I'm like, dude, it doesn't actually matter as long as they're moving well, they're coming to the gym, they're doing the things. Like it's okay. Yeah. But I think I mean, so I was vegan for 3 years, a long time ago. But like I was like so dogmatic, right? And dumb. But like, you know, it's just so easy to be like, if you.
I think being dogmatic is the dumb part of it.
Yeah,
right?
no.
Regardless
That's
of
what I'm saying.
it
I'm saying veganism. Well, I'm not a big fan of veganism, straight up, honestly. But like in nutrition, like you can't be like, okay, this is the best way to eat, or like this is the worst, or like if you like that, you close off your learning, your education. You shut out so many different avenues and people and potential clients that it's like it's actually a detriment to you or to whoever. Yeah.
It's. Like as we were saying before, like trying to actively grow like the Instagram, and when you get into those kind of forums and like you know, people's handles are like Jackie Keto or like this kind of shit, and you're like,
keto is life.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
how is your like specifics around like what you're choosing to eat become so embodied as like part of your identity that you would close off potentially the fact that there's other ways to do things, or there might be a better way to get where you're trying to go, or
Sure.
and sometimes I can't help myself and I hate myself for it, but sometimes you go down the rabbit hole where like, I'll give you this one specific example. I can't remember what her handle was or what her name was. It's probably better because I don't want people to like look it up. But she's basically a level 1 CrossFit coach, and she was selling endogenous ketones as by way of like promoting CrossFit performance.
Oh, right, great.
And so I was like, my first response was going to be a little over aggressive. So I thought I'll just come in kind of. I'd be like, oh, super interesting. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about it? Like, it seems quite counter to everything I feel like I know.
Sure.
And she's like, oh, it's going so well. I've never felt better, and blah, 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 all this stuff. And she tried, and I'm like, it just seems interesting that you would look to fuel a glycolytic energy system with endogenous fats. And usually, you know, when I think of high intensity and how quickly you need that energy, and the Krebs cycle takes a little bit down, blah, 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 blah. And you just got no response. And it's like, I feel like I got one there, but like there's so many million of them that it's like, how much time can I put into like,
well,
not
the thing is, she probably were just like, she probably would not have even read the whole thing.
I just
like, this guy sucks. And it's really, it's like, it's hard because like, I get it, but like when I was like, cause I've actually sold exogenous ketones before as well. I've done all the things, and that's not that they're bad. And everything has a place, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, because like vegan fits are in Collingwood, we get a lot of vegans and veggies, as you can imagine, right? Very alternative. And so it's always like, I relate it back to like, are you thriving? Like, do you feel
how do you feel? 100%.
And if they're like, well, most people are unaware of that too. They're like, oh, I feel okay, when they're really not.
Just feel a baseline of shit all the time.
Their new baseline is like 50%, 700. But like, you know, it's I'm like, well, if you're not thriving at this, like, what needs to change, right? Like, or where? And unfortunately, because food is the one of the biggest things that you can control, right? So you can control, you know, roughly how much you move, how much you sleep, but what you're putting in body is like a huge part of it, right? So water, coffee, alcohol, whatever. But it's it's a very funny one because people, and I get it because like you get it like, so I was vegan the first year. I felt good. Probably because I hadn't been on shit right for a year. And people were like, are you pregnant? Like, you're glowing. And I was like, no, like, whatever. But
I'm trying this new thing. You should try it. You'll love it.
You know, with everything.
Yeah. 100% CrossFit.
CrossFit. And you believe
in it. I bragged on CrossFit for years. And now I've only started. I'm like, drinking
this is it. You know, and you feel good and you want to express that to people. And so I understand. And then, you know, like the ketone thing, so basically after my injuries, when I got on the train and I was like, of course I was feeling amazing because I've been lying in bed for 8 months feeling like shit, like turning into a blob. And so, you know, and it helped me lose a bit of weight, and, you know, I toned like all that stuff. And so, you know, it's hard when you're in something to like take that step back and go, okay, is it just this soul thing? Probably not. Is it a bigger picture? Is it, it's just we're not aware enough to do it. And the thing is that then people obviously, if it's a money making scheme or
I mean, I think it comes down to your maturity as well, right? And I don't mean like your but like as you do continue to, and obviously like me, you like to do a lot of reading, and the more that you kind of read and open your mind and be open to different ideas and work on yourself, that you like how my coaching has changed so much over the last 2 years in terms of, not that I always thought I knew the right way to do things, but now I see like it's more my role just to give you all the information that I feel like you need, and then you can make what you feel is the best decision for you. Right? And so if someone wants to go, 2 years ago, if someone was like, I want to go plant-based, I'd be like, don't go fucking plant-based. Like, that's just you. But now if someone wants to go plant-based, and we get a lot of like after game changes and stuff like that comes out, and it's like, okay, well, if this is something we want to do, like we need to understand that this is the full extent of what that means, and these are the parameters that we need to be mindful of, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sure. Go and read blah, 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 and let's have a look at the other side of the coin. Don't just watch, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I know you're not going to do that. Because,
of course.
Yeah. But,
well, that's what it is, trial and error, right? So, like, like you said, like, I'm the same. Like, now I'm like, okay, well, here's the tools, here's the education, what suits you, what suits your lifestyle, what can you achieve, right? And then it's like, okay, but we'll try this, and if this doesn't work, then we need to pivot and do something else. Yeah. And that's all it is like, and so what, you know, works for me might not work for you, might work for someone else, like. And I'm always saying, like, I'm generally a lower carb person anyways. Like, I just like thrive off like meat. Like, I can just eat meat for every meal. Like,
did you ever think 3 years ago?
No, but I did try carnivore for a month, and it was awesome. Like, I felt so good. It's just like, you know, if you want to have a life, it's kind of restricting,
Yeah,
which is fine. And I do love offal and stuff, so that was like sweet. But now since coming back from the States, because like I really like ate everything I wanted when I was there, and came back because I'm doing like ninja, I'm doing a bit of CrossFit training, I'm doing a a lot of Spartan racing and stuff at the moment. So now doing 2 to 3 sessions a day, I've like changed from having like 2 meals of like mainly protein fat to like 5 or 6 meals, like kind of Renaissance periodization stuff. So like more like
workout
equal.
focused around
but like just like equal, like so like having like soaked oats with protein and berries for breakfast, but like a small portion, and having kind of like 5 or 6 meals, which has been for me eye-openingly beneficial. Like I feel good, like I feel like I can train well, like all this stuff. So you know, it might not be forever, but for now it works, right?
It's one of those things too, right, where I think particularly the people that we tend to come across with a lot, there's almost a fear of trying something new. Well, they don't want to try something new because they're terrified they're going to regress further, right? That's like that regression fear where it's like, well, what you're telling me could be right, but I'm not willing to try in case I go backwards. We've gone so far away from like.
Are you like more athletes?
We have a really good mix.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So I would say the greater majority of our clients would be a recreational level athlete.
Yep.
We've got a lot of Chris Eintribe and Josh's Control Chaos Olympic weightlifters on. Cat won nationals for 64 kilo Olympic weightlifting. So like obviously picked up quite a few from that. Yep. We started a lot within the CrossFit community and things like that. And I think you sort of stem from that both ways. So we've got a lot of like people who just go to CrossFit just to move 3 times a week, who want to learn more about their nutrition. And then we also have M. Rolf, who's just qualified for the CrossFit Games by winning by qualifying a Whatapaluza.
That's awesome.
So we kind of cover the whole spectrum.
Yeah. How good.
And that's kind of what our aim is when we bring on new coaches. It's like, okay, well, what different population can you help that we feel we're not quite there yet?
Sure.
Maggie went to nationals for powerlifting. And Claire, who's just started with us, like she really wants to work with masters athletes and women going through menopause and all that sort of stuff, which like for me is like perfect. That's so much more relatable, like coach-client relationship. So we have a really good mix, and I think what sort of started with, I think the general population, like we spoke about before, doesn't necessarily yet understand the value of health until they're at a point where they're sick as shit. Right. And it's kind of like, I hate the idea of car insurance, right? Like I hate the idea that like, you pay for this insurance and then usually when something happens, it's like, oh, that's not covered. Private health insurance is another one, right? Like you're supposed to pay like $200. Maybe I'd just be better off putting that money in the account, and if something happens, right? And I think that's the hardest thing we have is how do we bridge that by saying like, yeah, you might never have a heart attack, but like if you continue the way you are, statistically you probably will. Let's do something about it now and not when you're like lying in the hospital bed. Right?
Well, people don't see big picture. That's the thing. You know, they said it's like 80% of like diseases and cancers and can be avoided by lifestyle factors, right? So and it's really hard. Like my parents are like terribly unhealthy. Like my mom's goal is to not cook this year. Right? Like it's you know, and like it's funny because like people like when I tell people like, but do they know you? And I'm like, yeah, like I don't know. Like what's happening, but you know, and it's like like that older generation, you know, still has like a lot of the fat fear, has a lot of the skipping. My mom like still skips a lot of meals because she's like, oh, I want to eat like a rabbit and weight and all these things. Love you, mom, but you know, like it's
she better be listening.
I don't think she knows how to use I don't think she knows how to use the podcast app, so we're good. But yeah, like, and it's hard because like people don't see the big picture and they go, oh, okay, well, I know someone who smoked till they were 100 and never got
my uncle, my pop never,
you know, shit like that. And it's unfortunately like talk about that bell curve, like those are the outliers. Like they're not the normal person. And now like
good book as well, Outliers.
Yeah, that is a good book. But like, you know, you live in a city, you're a lawyer, you're so stressed, like you don't sleep, you have 9 energy drinks a day, like it's like death by a thousand cuts. That's what Oxman's been like. You know, it's not like the one bad meal or the 1 week of bad food you have during a holiday or whatever. It's like the repeated effort. It's like, you know, if you have someone that comes to you and they are 30 kilos overweight or whatever, right? Like it didn't happen, and it usually didn't happen in a few months.
A meal,
you know, or whatever. But like, I don't know, like it's real, because it's really hard. It's hard to see the bigger picture.
I think slowly we are starting to see that change, and I think slowly with people like ourselves and Chris and all those people that it's like, it's not the competition. It's we're all like allies fighting the good fight, right? And I think the problem is that the majority of the population are still in that position where super stressed, eat like shit, don't sleep, don't be active. And so it's still the norm.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And like we talked about with your blood work before, like you're part of the majority, but that's not necessarily like a good place to be, right?
It's not. And I think that's a huge issue too, is the competition. Like competition doesn't get us anywhere, right? Like,
well, it's not an end-sum game.
No,
we can all win.
We can all win, and there's so many.
There's enough people that need fucking help. Yeah.
So the gym that I used to work at, I know no one listens to this from there, so it's fine. The gym I used to work at, well, anyway, no. But they hate me, right? Like I see them, and like we didn't have the greatest ending. But like it's been 4 years, right? We should be like, hey, how's it going? Like, how are you? You know, whatever. But like, I was in the butcher. One of the owners walked in who like sponsored me for 3 years, right? Like we're not like, oh, I worked there for like a few weeks. They were my Australian family. Yeah. Right. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Looks at me, turns away, looks at his phone, and I'm like, this is why you suck. Like this is why your business isn't thriving, because of like the top down effect, right? Like we've had like, so our gym so we're at about just over 400 members. So we're like actually about to cap it because it's like boutique and we need to keep boutique, but
it's a 400-member boutique gym.
Yeah. Jesus. Well, 24 hours. So like, you know, like people kind of come sporadically, right? So, but like the thing is, like every time someone signed up or left,
I feel like there's a cap on where you can use the word boutique.
Oh, well, I don't know. Is there? Maybe. This is the newest thing, but we have like a record of everyone who's like signed up, and like we don't have contracts. So essentially, it's a 1 month contract. So we get a lot of people who are students who leave, like for whatever reason, and because we don't sell to anyone, right? Like people come in like, that's cool, man. Like if this works for you, great. If not, then let's find something that does work for you, right? Yeah. So anyways, like, but our like it totals up our, like everyone who's kind of signed up as a member throughout the last few years. And we've had almost, I think it's like 950. So that means there's 450 people out there who aren't at our gym, but like need to be getting fit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there's no reason, like around the corner, there's a Good Life and there's 9 rounds and there's a Snap, like, there's no reason for anyone to like, you know, like one client to me, like getting, you know, whatever, like it's not going to make or break the bank. And at the end of the day, if you really want to change lives and help people and change the world, like it shouldn't matter. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. I think it's funny, and it's and like what you define as what your competition actually is too. Right? Sure. Because like, I don't think that, I would hope that like, say, my PT clients would feel like they can get the same value from, instead of coming here, to go to Snap across the road for $8 a week. Sure. Right? So I don't really see that as my competition. And I know like for Kat and I, like the goal is to one day open a gym and have our own space where, because I can't fit everyone that I want to fit here in the garage. And it's been good building an online community, but I also feel like you still miss that like tangible, like sit down and have a chat. Yeah, absolutely. And so we kind of, like everything we basically do, we're looking to do to be able to further like the cause of MTM, because I feel like some people won't exercise, but everybody's going to eat, right? So absolutely, there's a little bit there where you can affect a little bit more change. But I feel like being able to speak to other gym owners and have an open dialogue where it's like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. What are the things that like you wish you'd done differently, or that you would, you know, like wait on or go further on? And it's like from little things like, hey, what software are you using for your things, to like, you know, none of this stuff. Yeah, no, exactly. You know nothing. Exactly right. And it's like, or like, what equipment am I better off getting? Because you look to deck out a new gym, it's like, it's 45 grand, like straight up. And not all of us have like the dividends that your partner has. We've had a few people come through and go, hey, I want to start a gym. Like there's someone in Geelong that wants to start a gym, and like, you know, and like what worked, what didn't work. And and I can only give my experience. But I had no idea. Now, like looking back, like software companies, right? Like the software company I went with, I'm not gonna throw one of the bus, but like don't have reoccurring PTs.
Yeah.
I just assumed every software company would have that because that makes sense to have something. Okay, I see this person every day at Monday 6 a.m. Like I don't want to go on every Monday, and put it like things like that, like. Or everyone promising you the world and then like customer service sucking, or you just don't know. And, permits, like all that stuff is so dumb.
Yeah,
it's so hard to figure out.
It's like when you buy a house and then you're like, wait, I gotta finish it.
Doesn't it
stamp duty?
What is that? Oh man,
dude, this has been super fun.
Thank you. It's been good.
I want to know. Okay, we've probably dropped like. I think we're up to like 4. I think the count is 4 on like good resources that we've got.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you for like 2 more.
Okay.
I want to know book, podcast, or individual person, anyone that's like had like you feel the most profound effect. Would that be like the Brené Brown, vulnerability? Yeah.
So books that have changed my life.
Or that you would just like recommend across the board.
Well, I think The Power of Vulnerability is very good. Power of Vulnerability. I also think, anything by Brené Brown actually is really good. So I've read all of her stuff. She's amazing. I also really like Simon Sinek's Start With Why.
Yeah.
It's also very good. Changed kind of like my thought process on finding my why and like what my why actually is. And all that stuff.
And that's you could do another podcast on like, what's your why? Sometimes it's just like, I don't know, like, you got caught up in the grind and forget.
Totally. Well, and we just my other head trainer and I, we actually spent 2 weeks this morning finalizing like our core values as well. And so now we're basing the whole business off of that. So we're kind of like putting process. So that's pretty powerful. The Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers is also a nerdy book. Why We Sleep is a very good book that's got a lot of really good easy to read tidbits around why we sleep, why you should sleep, how to sleep better, a lot of stuff that I talked about as well. Podcast, I love Ben Bergeron. I love Chasing Excellence. I also listen to Ben Greenfield, and although I do love Ben Greenfield and Dave Asprey, but they're both very self-serving.
Dave Asprey's a very
and so they do have some like good guests on and stuff, but like they always make it about themselves, and I find that really hard to listen to sometimes, even though like some of the information is super interesting.
Yeah. The More the Macros podcast.
Yeah. I haven't started there yet, but I'm going to. The other person who's probably shaped a lot of my career is like Kelly Starrett. Like I love
Supple Leopard.
I've got the Ready State. That's his newest thing.
I feel like that's like as prescribed CrossFit as it gets. It's like you sign up for CrossFit and it's like, here's your copy of the Supple Leopard and here's your lacrosse ball.
Yeah. No, it's so good. It's just like the actual app that he has now is like, you have pin here. Okay, here's like 19 things that might help. So that's really cool. I'm sure there's others, but like you put me on the spot. Like now my brain's like not thinking of anything. But so those people would probably be the ones. I do love Gabby Bernstein. She's like more of like that. If you want to go down like the spiritual kind of super attractor, like how are you attracting into your life, miracles, all that stuff. Because I'm a big believer that in the universe, like putting out.
Is it the gift? One of those.
I don't know the gift. Oh, the secret.
Secret. Yeah.
I didn't know. That's not hers, but like so. But she's done like the universe. The universe has your back.
Yeah.
Which is good. I'm reading Super Attractor, so it's all about like bringing awareness to the maybe the negative like thoughts and things that you have, and the idea is that the universe is always listening. So if you're putting out negative or not so positive vibes, you might be getting that back. Might be your own worst enemy. And then
the universe doesn't differentiate like if you use negative tones. Like if you say I don't want this to happen, it doesn't like register the negative, right?
You're right. Like, that's kind of the idea. Yeah. The idea is that like like if you are someone who wants a partner, right, and all your friends are married and are like getting engaged, and then you're like resentful. Yeah. Like I think you just attract well, because like like yes, because of the vibes and stuff, but like also then you probably become a bit of a resentful person, so maybe you're more negative, so then you don't go out more. Like there's like enough. I don't think it's just like woo woo stuff. I think there's a whole lot of things involved.
I love woo woo.
Yeah, I like woo woo too. And then the other book that I really like is a book by Jen Sincero called You Are a Badass. Yeah. And she's got another one called You Are a Badass at Making money, and they're just like talking around self-belief, self-limiting beliefs, and like going out and doing what you actually want to do. And I believe, because like a lot of people I see like go to a job that they hate, and I can't imagine doing half of your waking life at a place or something.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, most people have. And so and that was like actually what I was listening to before we started the gym. So it was really empowering, I guess. And it's not that everyone's going to be able to do everything they want, but maybe you can at least have a better mindset around it, have a passion project that fuels your soul.
Our side hustle is like.
Yeah, totally. So those are some cool people.
Perfect. So there's an entire book list for 2021
yeah,
or 50 books for next year.
I like Ryan Holiday. I love stoicism. I love all that
Ryan
stuff.
Holiday has been, right. Probably last year, I think, and now I'm mindful of what you just said about Ben Greenfield. And Dave asked me, I don't want to talk about myself.
Yeah. No, you're not at all.
Last year, I think the majority of my book list was Ryan Holiday and Malcolm Gladwell.
And
just like bounce kind of between the two of them.
Yeah.
I think Malcolm Gladwell is just, I want to get this podcast to the point where I can get him to come sit down on the box in the garage.
You shoot him an email. You never know.
Yeah,
right?
I think so too. Like, I think like, what do I got to lose, right?
I'm gonna say no. Just put out those vibes. Like
that's right. Yeah. So yeah, Ryan Holiday as well. It's super interesting story, like his personal story about going from like, what was it? He was with the apparel brand. American Apparel.
Yeah, I was like
Yeah. So his real interesting take on like the high flying corporate to like.
Yeah.
I find like super relatable. Not that I was ever like as high flying as I was, but I was definitely corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. It's been an hour and 40 minutes, and like I could keep going for the rest of the afternoon. Thank you so much for coming down and having a chat. And one more note I want you to end on is just like our pay it forward. Like I'd love for you to be able to put me in touch with someone that you think like Akers did for this, like to someone that you feel like, and you have to answer right now.
Okay. I was like,
if there's someone I can chat to on similar kind of path or similar journey a few years ahead.
Got it. No, I got it.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Do you want to?
Oh, there's a chick named Angela from the A-Life.
Yep.
They're osteo. She's an osteo, but she's got their own business, and they have like Pilates, and they do cacao ceremonies, and they do like movement and Ido Portal stuff. And she's like,
Ido Portal does all the squat challenge and like
stuff. So she followed them on Instagram, like you personally, and everyone else. They're really good. But they like, we interviewed her for our podcast, and like I just thought like osteo was just like bones. Yeah. Or I don't know, like osteo.
Massage.
Yeah. Like, but it's like this whole other world of like health, and she's just like, you'll if you vibe with me, you'll vibe with her. So.
Okay, sweet. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.